Adam Collins here with Geoff Lemon. This is the final word for all that cricket fueled by Kookaburra cricket at the pointy end of World Cup 2017. We're going to work out in the final group games, Geoff, who plays who and who plays where, and ultimately who gets to meet the Queen here at Buckingham Palace.
Or who gets to be the Queen. I hear that whoever's the champion in the final, whoever's the player of the match, might actually get a gig just to slot in and take the job.
We might have a candidate after a couple of days ago we saw another magnificent 100 from Natalie Sciver.
Yes, well, she's done it a couple of times now, and the first to score two of them in this World Cup, and she's just looked absolutely ridiculously at ease. There's been a lot of straight hitting down the ground, but then bringing out the trick shots as well, the literal leg in the air.
The Nat-meg, as they're calling it. I quite like that as well. Very clever from those that drummed that up on Twitter yesterday. England have found form at the right time. They dropped their World Cup opener, but they knocked off Australia on Sunday in what was a classic.
That's right. It was only 3 runs the win in the end. Australia needed 6 off the last ball, got a couple, got very, very close indeed, and Ashley Gardner with a bit of a power-hitting blitz at the end. But crucially, England held their nerve. I reckon, not harsh to say, they've choked a bit against Australia the last 2 or 3 years, and this time they came through. Catherine Brunt held on to a ripper in the deep, Nat Sciver as well. 2 brilliant catches that could have been 6s as well. So such fine margins at the end, and they were outstanding in holding their nerve.
Australia bowled 32 extras on that day, but they bounced back really well yesterday. They played their penultimate game of the group stage against India, who had won their first 4 games of the tournament. Australia were rusty against England, but better against the Indians.
Yeah, sort of boa constricted the Indian players, but it was a slightly kind of hesitant innings at the top of the order. They'd lost 1 early wicket, India. Samriti Mandana was gone, and then Natalie Sciver and Poonam out. Just kind of dragged it on a bit too long when they should have been a bit more proactive in that first 20. Couldn't really get any momentum, and after that they went at close to 6 and over for the following 31 overs, but that slow start cost them in the end.
It was a day for the big numbers in the game. Natalie Sciver became the most prolific batsman in women's ODI history. She passed Charlotte Edwards 5.992, and the next over a massive 6 off Kristen Beams to bring up 6,000 runs. Wasn't enough on the day. She showed a fair bit of frustration after the game as well.
Well, she did, sort of saying that it's all on her, basically. If she gets out, then the team can collapse, and that's why she went so slowly. I don't necessarily buy that, because I think she went a bit too slow. You can find singles. It doesn't mean you have to be bunting everything over cover and smashing it over the rope. But, you'd note when she brought up the 6,000th run, did it with a 6, because she knew that was going to be replayed a bit. So she was able to find the big shot for the glory little moment there, but maybe could have been a bit more intent earlier.
And it was the usual suspects for Australia. Lanning and Perry and Lanning, they averaged 109 when batting together. It was 114 they put on yesterday. Some remarkable numbers for both of them. Yeah,
it just sort of seems unfair after a while. They should start maybe minus 30 when they go out to bat, and then things might be fairer. Both of them averaging above 50 now. Perry's up to 51, Lanning 55 plus. Ridiculous numbers, and they just knocked it off, made it look completely calm. But notable, Meg Lanning, 1 run away from bringing up her 3,000th run, would have equalled the record for the fastest in terms of number of innings. She needed 1 to get it, they needed 4 to win. Perry hits a boundary down the ground and goes, sorry, Skip.
She did pick up her 5,000th international run along the way with her 40th of the day. By age 25, she's got 5,000. The youngest by it so far, it doesn't even matter. She's probably 5 years younger than the previous to get to that mark. So Lanning in tip-top form, despite the shoddy shoulder, which is impeding her batting somewhat, but not too much. She made 76 not out yesterday in that 114 run union. So Australia just ticking along beautifully. Some teams are out of the tournament, and we've already lost Sri Lanka and Pakistan last week. West Indies showed a bit of a revival in a win this week through Deandra Dotton and Stefani Taylor, but all a bit too late.
Yeah, way too late, but we've known the potential they've got, and then Taylor making 90 odd, Dotton came out and made that 100, and the thing I liked with that, she brought up the 50 at the end of the 42nd over, brought up the 100 at the start of the 49th over. So when she hits top gear, unstoppable. But, really it's one for the records rather than one that has any influence on the tournament.
Another side that's underwhelmed so far in the competition is New Zealand. They have one more opportunity to make it through to the Final Four in a quasi-quarter-final on Saturday.
Yeah, and that's going to be the huge game on Saturday. South Africa, New Zealand, whoever wins going through. If South Africa go through, then Australia might end up playing them twice in a row, a la 1999.
Yeah, New Zealand are playing India in their decider as well. So after New Zealand had a very shaky start, they can still get through. The contrast there, of course, being India, who won their first 4 but have lost their next 2. So Super Saturday won't be quite so super. We know 3 of the 4 teams who are going through, England, Australia and South Africa. England can top the group if they beat the West Indies, but you wouldn't rule out the Windies upsetting them.
Well, not with what we saw the other day. It sort of comes down to that roll of the dice thing. Does Dotton only have 1 good innings in her? Taylor, maybe the more important one, she played the more central anchoring role, Stefani Taylor. So if she's able to get that confidence and they can build around her a little bit, it could happen. But the form that England's in, you'd expect them to roll on.
That's enough from us, I reckon. Adam Collins and Geoff Lemon. Stick with us here for a chat I had with Alyssa Healy, Australia wicketkeeper batsman, a couple of days ago. Until next week, where we'll be into the semi-finals, this is the final word for All Out Cricket, fuelled by Kookaburra Cricket. Welcome to the final word for All Out Cricket, fuelled by Kookaburra Cricket. I've got one of Kookaburra's own with me here today, Southern Stars, Australian women's team cricket wicketkeeper and batsman Alyssa Healy with me. Hello, Alyssa.
Hello.
You've got knocked off by England a couple of days ago at Bristol. We're still in Bristol now. We feel like we live here now, don't we?
We've been here a long time, with a little break in between in Leicester, but no, worst places to be. I think a few people have found a few cafes to visit, so it's a little bit like home. Not
a bad time to have a loss in the context of a long World Cup campaign?
Yeah, definitely. I think, everyone's got to lose sometime, and I'd rather lose now than in a semi or a final. So, albeit a cracking game, but I guess we'll take our learnings and move on from the loss pretty quickly.
Yeah, not a great atmosphere as well, wasn't it? It was for a women's game, sold out at Bristol on a Sunday afternoon, basked in sunshine, a 3-run result. It was a classic.
It was good. It was one of the closest games against England I think I've played in from memory. Yeah, great day for it. Everyone turned out and were quite vocal and quite supportive of the English, but that's what we expect, and hopefully we can rematch later in the tournament.
Bit of pressure on the Australian side now. They need to win one of their last 2 games to secure a Final Four berth. They play India tomorrow. Have you done a bit of homework on India, know a bit about their side?
Yeah, done a little bit. Obviously, we played them not too long ago in a home-away series at home. They've got a pretty similar squad, so know a little bit about them, and obviously they're really dynamic players. Played in the WBBL over the summer, so done a bit of research, but no doubt we'll just go out there and stick to what we do best, and hopefully get a couple of points. No, a couple of boys are here. Obviously Matt Tamura as well, and a Welshman, I believe, has jumped on board with them. But they're having a great time, being rowdy as all hell in the crowd, supporting the Aussies, which is great to see. But great to see so many of the families and some ex-players all have come over to support, and I think they're all waving their Aussie flags around wherever they go. So it's fantastic, and hopefully we can get the job done for them.
Thank you, Alyssa Healy, for joining us on the final word today. They lost a close one against England, need to win tomorrow against India. Their final game is against South Africa down in Taunton on Saturday. This is the final word for All Out Cricket, fuelled by Kookaburra Cricket. We'll see you later in the week.
Season 2017-18, I'll be using the Kahuna, which I've used in the last few seasons. Obviously I like the fact that it's got some nice big edges, works well for me, and the mid-range middle here allows me to keep control of my pull shots and allows me to hit the ball over cover like I'm thoroughly enjoying at the moment. It's a great bat to use and one of my favourites.